Hey everybody, I wanted to make a video today about the consultation that I had with Dr. Santucci and just kind of how that went, the questions I had for him, and what his answers were. I probably should have done this back in, I think it was September that I had the consultation, when my memories were fresh, but I do have my wife's notes that she took, so I'm going to try to work off of them. And, you know, everyone's consultation is different, so this is just my experience. I didn't have a million questions for him, because I think that I've done so much research that I don't want to say that I know most of the things, but I do know a lot of the things. The Crane Center puts out a bunch of videos. They have a bunch of videos out on YouTube about the different procedures, which I highly recommend. It's interesting just seeing, you know, the different doctors. They have a couple of them are like Ask Me Anything type of videos. So not only do you kind of get answers to different questions that you might have that other people have asked, but there's also, you get to kind of see the personality of the different doctors. And even if you're going with a different surgeon somewhere else, I think it's you'll probably glean some information from these videos, I would think. So it's the Crane Center for Transgender Surgery, and they're on YouTube, so look those up if you're interested. So I had watched all those, and then just, you know, from my years of research, I had a pretty good idea of what would be happening for the surgery. So Dr. Santucci was late for the consultation, but he texted me and, you know, said that he was running late, so that was really nice, I thought. And then he texted me again to let me know when he would be calling. So it was about an hour and a half later than the original scheduled consultation. But he was very apologetic, and, you know, honestly, I think if a surgeon, you know, it makes sense if they have people they're checking up on and, you know, active cases, it makes sense to give those priority over a phone call consultation for a new patient. So, yeah, Dr. Santucci, I liked him. He was very friendly on the phone. I put him on speakerphone so my wife could also ask questions. Now I'm just going off her notes. So apparently the first thing we talked about was how big my penis will be, because that's like the first note. But I did talk about the size that I would like, and he said, I mean, it's not a secret or anything. You know, I told him that I would like to be about 6 inches. And he said that the template they use is based on a 5.5 inch penis. And I guess they like lay this template out on your arm. And he said what constitutes, you know, their ability to make it longer is your arm length, and also how did he put it? So I'm sorry, I'm not great explaining this, but so when they take the flap from your arm, and here there's what they call the leash, where there's like an artery and vein that they have to take as well, that comes, you know, out further than the actual flap that they take. And so it kind of depends on how your anatomy is, because that leash needs to be long enough to connect to the arteries and veins in your groin, so as to stick out say your penis is this long, the leash has to stick out long enough so they can connect it. So they can't take a full flap, that's this long and only have a tiny leash because there's not enough there to connect. So it really does kind of depend on your anatomy. Which made sense to me because I really wasn't sure, how they made that decision of how long your penis could be. I'm 5, I like to say 5'9", between 5'8" and 5'9", and I'm pretty lanky. Actually, my arms are like strangely long. I cannot find shirts that fit my shoulders and come down to my wrist. Either the shirt's too big or it fits, and then the sleeves up to here. So I often just wear shirts with the sleeves rolled up because. So anyhow, I have long arms, and so I was telling him that, and he's like, well, we'll put the template on and see what we can do. So, and just as a side note there, I have a length that I have in mind that I want, but I've really thought about it, and honestly, I don't care. I mean, I care, but I don't. It needs to be what my body is going to give me. So I'm not going to be too hung up on that. The next thing we talked about was, and as far as like the girth of the penis, it really just all depends on your body again. How much fat and tissue and whatnot is in the flap that they harvest, and they just wrap it around, and it is what it is. So we shall see. The next thing we talked about was I have some issues with my elbow, and I take naproxen for control the inflammation and pain control, and he said that I would need to stop taking that, I think 2 weeks before surgery, because it's I think it's like a blood thinner. It's like aspirin, sort of, so you can't be having that during surgery. He suggested maybe taking Celebrex instead of the naproxen, but I just probably won't take anything during that time. Maybe I think you can take Tylenol still. So then we'd spent a lot of time talking about my arm, because for me, one of the big decisions in the surgery was which arm to use, and concerns about function after surgery. So many people use their non-dominant arm for the donor site. For me, I came very close to choosing to use that. My right arm would be, in my case, my non-dominant. But the truth is, I just really, really didn't want to. I have these tattoos. I can't turn my arm far enough for you to see the inside one. But they're very special to me. They both are very meaningful to me, and I didn't want to lose them, and I didn't want them to be on my penis. The one on the inside I'd lose completely, and then the one on the outside would be partially on my penis. So I really didn't want to. And then also my left arm is kind of screwed up anyhow. Like, I can't straighten it all the way. So I kind of figured like, one more issue. I'd rather have one fully functioning arm and then one problem arm. So we talked to him a lot about that. And he said that most patients, the surgery won't affect their hand function long term. I know there definitely is. Short term, you won't be able to move your hand at all. There'll be swelling and stiffness. I'm trying to read my wife's notes. I'm sorry. Something about a 2% chance, a slight change in hand. I think she meant like strength and movement. Especially around the scar at the wrist. might be trouble with your wrist movement. And then some people get like some weird like numbness in here. But he also said, he talked about the blood flow because you're taking one of the arteries away. And he talked about hand swelling. And he said that they're like taking away, I think this is what he said, they're taking away like 95% of your lymph drainage in your hand because they're taking the big flap of tissue. So then, you do have a small area that is not affected. But he said that drainage grows back, but it's different for everyone. So it's kind of a risk, I guess. But I did talk to him about, I asked him, like, so I have this thought in my head that because it is my dominant hand, I will be using it more than I would my non-dominant hand, and could that actually help and be a good thing? And he agreed. He's like, once your initial healing, has happened for your graft site, the more you use your hand, your arm, the harder you push it, the more often you're using it, the better. He's like, you cannot. When my wife was arguing with me beforehand, she's like, I don't know about that. She's like, you tend to just overdo things. But Dr. Santucci was like, yeah, no, the more you use it, the better. So he's like, if anything, the only problem we have is people who don't use it enough and then end up with, more stiffness or swelling or whatever. So that was kind of good to hear. And then my wife wrote in capitals to me. She said, when am I going to learn that he's always fucking right? So I thought that was kind of funny. I don't know. It was just a hunch I had. But, so anyhow, I'm not always right, but it's kind of funny. It's a thing we have. Anyhow, Dr. Santucci confirmed with me that he thought it would be worth the risk to use my dominant arm because of my reasons of why I want to. So that's what I'm going to do. Then we talked about the actual process of the surgery. So he said all the surgeries on Mondays, which they scheduled mine for February 8th, which is a Monday. And he said on Friday you'll go into a pre-op appointment where you will meet the team of doctors who will work with you during and after the surgery. I don't know if you'll meet every doctor, but he said you'll meet the team. I don't know what else to prepare for the pre-op. I'm supposed to be getting a packet of information, they said around 90 days before surgery, so I'm guessing sometime in November I'll get that packet, and I'm hoping it says more about what will happen during the pre-op appointment. Basically, I just want to prepare myself for what it's going to be, and if it doesn't say in the packet, then I will ask Judah, who's the patient care coordinator, and is super cool. Basically, I want to know, is there going to be a physical examination, so I can prepare mentally for that, being so dysphoric, that'll be a thing. So, and I want to know who I'm going to be talking to and what I'm going to find out, and so we'll see. I don't know yet. So he said on Monday is the surgery at, I don't know if he said it starts at 7:30 or if you have to be there at 7:30. I'm not sure. The surgery can be up to 12 hours, but 6 to 8 hours routinely. And her note says team 3. And I think what she said, or what Crystal meant, my wife meant, was there's a microsurgeon. I don't know if there's 1 or 2 of them, maybe 3 of them. Dr. Santucci, and a help, I think he called it facilitator, which would be Dr. I can't read Crystal's writing, but there's a female doctor on their team, which I think he said it would be her. And, you know, he kind of explained like what they do during the surgery and what the process is. And she didn't write all that down, but as I understood it, they would start the surgery. Dr. Santucci would be working on the vaginectomy portion and, you know, starting the urethral lengthening, like preparing that. And also, I think he said he would be working on the scrotoplasty. And then during that time, the microsurgeons would be getting the flap off your arm. Or, you know, I guess it's a very like slow, involved process because they're taking all the tissue and fat and everything off your arm, and like there's all the blood vessels, and, you know, it seems very complicated. So he said he actually finishes his portion before they get done removing the flap. So then he's like, you know, I leave the operating room and go have coffee or make phone calls or something. And then once they have the flap ready, he scrubs back in and goes and actually forms the penis and does, you know, that portion. Does the, I think he said I don't know if he does the glandsplasty then or after it's attached. I don't remember. But then, you know, he forms the penis and then moves it to where it needs to be. Because I think they leave it like hooked up to the blood supply until it's all formed. Because obviously they don't want your tissue separated from your body for any length of time. Things start to go bad. So then anyhow, they move it to where it needs to be, where he's already kind of prepared. And then the microsurgeons do their magic and hook things up. I don't know. And then maybe they do the glandsplasty after that, I'm guessing. I don't know. Although I did see a picture once where the penis was not connected. This was on Dr. Chen's website. Which if you go there, it's slightly disturbing, so be prepared. But like they have the formed penis on a table, all like ready to go. It's a bit much, but it did have the glandsplasty done, so maybe they do that beforehand. I've seen a lot of surgical pictures and watched videos, and I like to be as prepared as possible, but sometimes it's like, oh, god damn. I can't believe I'm going to do that. But anyhow. So anyhow, you wake up in the hospital and you're in the ICU for a few days, and then you move to a regular room. And then, so that's on Monday, you have surgery. And then typically you get to be discharged on Friday. So